co-star with Bending Reality magazine. I'm getting the privilege to talk to Jack Sorenson from the band Torrid Complex this evening. You want to say hello to my magazine readers, Jack?
Yeah, hello to the magazine readers. Appreciate y'all having us on, man, and I appreciate you taking the time to reach out to us.
Well, got to reach out to good music and good people, so it's indeed an honor for me to get to talk to you tonight about your band and
I
stuff.
appreciate that. Thanks, man.
Could you tell the readers a little bit about the roots of the band's name, how it came about?
Well, it's kind of silly, really, but I'm kind of into astronomy, things like that. If Discovery Channel stuff pops up with anything about outer space or whatever, I'm a sucker for it for whatever reason. I like to watch it. And I happened to be watching a documentary one night, and there was they were talking about just different solar systems and different things like that. And there was one called the Torrid Complex, which was supposed to be a small solar system that's constantly imploding on itself, and stars are exploding, and just a crazy place. And I said, man, Torrid Complex, that sounds kind of cool, and I wrote it down, and years later, here we are. So that's where it came from. So
Very cool, but I don't think that's kind of geeky. That's actually kind of cool and unique.
yeah, it is.
How about telling me a little bit about how the band came together, where the roots are, and how it just all came to be?
Well, I'm an older guy now. I'm not as young as I used to be, and I had flirted around here and there with bands and did some different things. But it seems like for the majority of my life, I've always been raising young kids, so I could never really give 100% to any project. I would go sing with a band here and there. I'd go sit in on a practice, stuff like that. And a good friend of mine, Billy Ball, was a guitar player in a band, and one night I went over there and was messing around with those guys, and then months later he ends up sending me a message saying, "Hey, we're putting a project together. Would you like to come, sit in on vocals and give it a shot?" And I was like, not really. I'm in the middle of raising a family and taking care of all that, and I don't really have the time. But for whatever reason, at that point, I was busy with work and busy with everything else, and my wife said, "You know what? Why don't you just go give it a shot? If for nothing else, go have some fun and see how it goes." And I did. That's basically where the band started at that point in time. Now, between then and now, I'm the only remaining, founding member of the band, but that's where it all started, and that was in early 2011. So just kind of came up with some things we liked, and I had a stack of lyrics that I've been writing over the past 20 years, and just started finding a spot to make them fit and writing music, and that's where it all started.
Very cool. So it would be fair to say that your wife was motivational and she was very supportive in you wanting to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was an outlet that I personally I needed at that point in my life, and she knew it, and so she's like, "Hey, go have some fun," and I'm not. It's hard for younger guys to be out in that scene, and there's so much temptation and things like that. But now I'm an older guy, and I've gotten wise to it, and she knows that, and it's just about going out and expressing what you have in your heart and having a good time with it. So yeah, she's the one that pushed me out the door, but I'm sure there's been a couple times she regretted it. If we got to play a show on a Tuesday night at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, I'm sure there's some times she wishes she hadn't have done that, but it's all been good.
Right, right. So you're saying with age comes wisdom, like keep on with them.
Absolutely, especially for guys. Especially for guys, I think you gotta get into your 30s before you finally figure out, hey, what I thought was important wasn't so important after all. So, at least for me, that's how it was anyway.
Kind of like the little light bulb going on, say, it now makes sense.
And for some, a big light bulb.
Okay, why don't you tell me a little bit about some of your musical heroes now and maybe when you were younger?
Well, when I was younger, I was the youngest out of, I guess you would call it my dad's second litter. Take that however you want to take it, but I was the youngest. So I had older brothers and an older sister. And when I say older, I mean 15, 16, 17 years older than me.
Okay.
So, that was in the late 70s. That's kind of where my influence of older music comes from, because a lot of people come over and I'm playing, I may have Chicago on or Steely Dan or Pink Floyd or some old stuff, and people are like, "Man, I thought you was a metal guy. What do you listen to this stuff for?" Well, that's what I heard as a kid, so that's what I grew up with. And so I wouldn't say that our music is influenced by that, but I have a great appreciation for that older style of music, and especially some of the jazzy influence stuff like from Chicago and things like that. It just takes a great deal of musical talent to pull that stuff off and for it to be so pristine. I have a great deal of appreciation for that type of music.
Okay.
As far as heavy metal goes, I mean, the first The first album I ever bought from mowing yards was Master of Puppets from Metallica. So I mean, I'm pretty sure for everybody, it's there's some kind of Metallica influence in there. So definitely for me, that was a big one. And nowadays I'm not into speed metal. I've never been into blast beat stuff. I like slower stuff, like Down, obviously Pantera, Crowbar, things like that. And that's what I listen to now. So I mean, I guess if you put all those in a bowl and stir it up, I'd be somewhere in the middle of it.
So it would be fair to say that a Metallica-infused sludge metal melting pot
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah. That'd be a good comfort zone, I'd say.
Okay. Since you're from like the Houston area and stuff, where would you say your favorite place to play is in that area?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Because the thing is, we actually live a little bit north of Houston. We're up in a place called Cut and Shoot, Conroe area. So we're
Okay.
kind of. You can probably. I mean, I'm sure your listeners up in that area for sure are going to hear that I'm from the country. I have a strong Texas influence on my voice. So we love to play up here close to home. And there's a few small places up here that we can play, but whenever it comes down to playing in Houston, there's just, like I said, it's a big market. It's a big place. There's so many great places to play. I really, it's hard to say which one I'm most comfortable with. There's one in the Woodlands close to us, between us and Houston. That's called the 19th hole. That's kind of like our backyard. That's a place we can play where it still has a decent draw from Houston, but it's close enough to home that we get our local crowd there too. So
Right.
there's always a lot of energy at those shows and a lot of fun to play. But there's a lot of quality venues here: BFE Rock Club, Acadia Bar and Grill. I can't just pick out one because the sound guys are great, the bar staff's great. I'd like to say to any bands out there that would like to come to Houston and play, there's really some good opportunities down here to come down here and play for some great crowds and some great venues.
Right. And the people in Texas are so welcoming to like even with new people coming into the area. I've always noticed that.
Absolutely.
And when I've come home, it's like, it's unreal. It still is the hospitality has not died ever.
Right, right. Well, that's how we were raised, and it's hard for me to compare it to anything else. I've never really been anywhere else. Yeah, I've just really been I've heard some stories from some other bands, people that's been to New York and different places like that, and the culture is obviously different. I just really wouldn't know what to compare it to. I know that when we have bands come from out of town and we play in support of those guys or whatever, we always try to be supportive and show that Southern hospitality because that's just who we are and that's how we do it.
That's the thing. See, I'll say it with no shame. Being from the Dallas Fort Worth area, growing up, it's like Southern hospitality. It's not really taught. It's just learned. You just watch and learn, and
Right.
it's a skill set that the Northerners will never understand. I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, I guess I should consider myself lucky just being raised that way and that I don't know any other way. That's just how we are. And down here we don't have a lot of battle of the bands and things like that because we try to, I mean, why would you ever take two local bands that aren't really making any money and pit them against each other to make someone money? It just doesn't make sense. And I just don't believe in the competition aspect of it. We're all in it together and I don't know how it is anywhere else. Like I said, I'm from here and I don't really go anywhere else. But to us, it's a family, be it whatever genre of music you're in or whatever. There's an appreciation for it across the board, and it's not a competition ever.
Right, right. Okay, my next question. If you could go to any venue in the world to like play your music alongside maybe some of your heroes that you're enjoying now, where
Hmm.
would you want to play that? What venue would you want to play at?
Man, like I said, I've never really been anywhere else, so I wouldn't know what to expect. But what I would like to see, and it's always kind of been a dream of mine, is to take our brand of music, the way we do it, the way we present it, the way we play it live, the way we deliver it, and take it overseas somewhere, like to Japan or to Russia or anywhere else in the world. And I would love the opportunity to play in front of a sea of people, however many people they can put in a venue, and just see how it's received. That's one of my dreams is to play in front of a sea of people and put on one hell of a show and just see where we're at, see what we get. And I would love to play with Crowbar. I've been trying to get a show with Crowbar for the last 2 or 3 years. These guys are from New Orleans. It's we go over and play New Orleans all the time. We have good friends over there. I would love to play with Lamb of God. That's one of my favorite bands. So put me anywhere in the world with those two bands, and I'll be happy.
Right. Okay. What would you say to the unknowing ear about Torrid Complex, what would you say to those that would need to listen to you guys? What would you say they're missing out on?
Well, I mean, I first of all, I always like to qualify it with it. You know, it's not for everyone. Everybody don't get it. You know, you almost you have to like heavy metal. You have to like heavy style of music. But one thing that people have always said about our music that you don't get with some other music is that I write the lyrics and I write them about things that are important to me. We don't write music about slaying dragons or riding unicorns or a bunch of fake stuff because there's enough real life things out there to write about. It's things we all fight every single day. Is it money? Is it oppression? Whatever it is, there's enough real life elements out there to write about. So I always make it a point to write my lyrics based around true, real things. And like I said, people have always told us that whenever they listen to our music, they can hear what I'm saying. They understand the lyrics. They can hear the words. Yeah, it's heavy music, but if you're at all into heavy music, even if it's the softer side of heavy music, if you give it a chance, you'll hear something in there that you like. I mean, I think there's something in there for everyone that they could grab onto and they could definitely relate to. If you have a heartbeat, then you're gonna relate to some of the things that I say at some point in time. We're very patriotic, and we're playing a benefit tomorrow for fallen officers. So we stand behind our community and our heroes, and there's got to be something in there that somebody's going to like, especially if they're a fan of heavy music. Just give it a chance. I promise you'll find something in there that you like.
I will say, as a very new fan to your music, I definitely felt it. Like you said, that real life feel, and I
Right.
I almost got goosebumps listening to some of it because it was so good.
That's great. And that's it right there. That's the magic formula, whatever that is. That's the effect we want to have on everyone because every song we write, somebody besides me has felt that at some point in time and has experienced that same thing, and I promise you they can relate to it.
Right, and it really, all of it. I mean, from start to finish, it spoke to me. Like it just
Right.
really, really spoke to me. So
That's great.
I just want to say
That's
thank you
awesome.
for the experience to actually enjoy the
No,
music.
man, that's a compliment. That's an absolute compliment. And if we never sell a million records, if we never make a dime, that kind of stuff right there is what makes it worth it to me.
Who are some of your local favorite bands that you've gotten a chance to play alongside during shows?
Man, like I said, it's a big market down here. There's a ton of great bands in our area. It's hard to name all of the great ones. So I hate to name any of them because I know I'll be leaving some people out. Some of your bigger heavy hitters around here, you have Sons of Blackwater. They have a similar style to us. There's 12 Years Driven. They're just a great group of guys that make great music.
That Larry
And like
Gilstrap.
the yeah, you know that guy. Everybody knows
Oh
that guy,
man.
right? Yeah. Hey, actually, we're playing with those guys tomorrow night, so they're good guys. And like I said, there's a ton of great bands around here. If you're into female fronted bands, I would urge you to check out Parabellum or Black Market Tragedy. Those are a couple really good female fronted heavy bands. And I've never really been a big fan of the female vocalist in a heavy metal band, but those two bands right there will change your mind pretty quick about it because they ain't playing around.
I support both of those bands too, so we're on the same page there.
Yes, yes, they're good. And then there's a lot of younger bands. The sad thing about it is that a lot of the bands that are out there are younger guys, and the most important thing I could tell any young musician out there that's in a band is longevity. Stick with it, stay with it. It's going to be hard. There's going to be times that it sucks, but man, I've seen since 2011, I've seen probably 10 to 15 really, really great bands with a lot of great potential just fall apart because of drama or because of this or that or whatever. Longevity is the key, man. I've seen a lot of really good bands fall apart. That's my advice to the younger generation, I guess, is stick with it, man. Work out your differences and stick with it and don't give up.
Right. So, and pounding the pavement, and don't be afraid to struggle because struggle will make you
Right.
stronger in the long run.
Right. That's exactly right. And it's hard for us. Like I said, it's hard for us. We all have kids. It's hard for us to get out to every single show, but we do get out, and when we do, we're received very gracefully, graciously, I should say. Other bands love to see you out there. and there's some bands out there that I really like, and I go see them all I can. And the next thing you notice is that, hey, they show up to your next show, and they may bring a friend or two. So it's all about supporting the scene you're in. Like I said before, it's not a competition. If you look at it like a competition, then you're going to lose, before you even get started.
Right, and if you look at it as a competition, it loses that value of family, so to speak, is what you're.
Absolutely.
Me, even though I'm not in my home area anymore, I stay close to the scene because there is in Texas. I have noticed, and I say it maybe kind of biasedly, in Texas there is so much music out in that state that the FM radio stations are afraid to play it because it's so
They
good. I
are.
think.
Yeah, there's this funny story because our guitar player Koury went to a show. I forget who it was. It wasn't too long ago, but our biggest rock station here in Houston. I won't even say the name, but it's not a rock station. It's like red jumpsuit apparatus. I mean, it's the most terrible stuff ever. But that's all we got. That's our Houston rock station. Which you would think in a market this big they would have something a little heavier, but they don't. That's what we have. Their main DJ is the morning drive guy. He's the biggest guy. Everybody knows this guy. Well, our guitar player's been chatting back and forth with him on emails for 6 or 7 years before this band even started. So they know each other. And he saw him recently at a show, and he refused to take a picture with him because he was wearing our T-shirt. And he may say it's not because that's not the reason, but I just can't help but think Clear Channel, or I don't know if I should even say that, but these larger radio stations, they're scared of what guys like us are doing because we own 100% of our music. We record it, we edit it, we do everything, and you've heard our music. It's not really that bad. The recording quality is good. I think it could hang with a lot of national stuff out there. I think it's got these bigger radio stations scared because if we make a lot of money, they don't get any of it because we own 100% of it.
Exactly.
And I think it's starting. I mean, it's guys like you and other. It's like mom and pop radio stations that are promoting us that hey, if we all stick together, we could take over the world. Because if the world really knew what kind of good music there was out there, they would turn off their FM radio and they would come to a show.
Right? That's the thing with me being in an online station. I have no problem, and I have the full support of my station's management to promote bands like yours, like everyone in the scene in Texas on a global scale because of me supporting not just you guys, but everybody. It's like there's so many bands, multiple hundred bands that I endorse, promote, support, that I would go to the ends of the earth for because of their music, because it's so good. It just every band that I endorse or promote or help promote, their music speaks to me in some way.
Yeah. And the thing about it is at the end of a show, people would come up to us and say, "Man, why aren't you guys playing on the radio? Why aren't you guys playing on this Seven Dust show that's coming up?" Or whatever. It's because nobody can make any money off of us. That's why. Because if we make money, it's our money. So we get stomped out before we ever have a chance. I mean, I've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, I've seen a big uptick in the online music industry. That's all. That's the hope. That's the hope that we have. Because Big Brother out there, if they can't make money off of it, they won't promote it. But we'll promote ourselves. We'll promote you guys, and you guys will promote us. And if at the end of the day somebody likes more of what they hear on your station than what they hear on the FM radio station, then maybe we're doing something at that point.
Right. And I'd been asked many a times by many people, what do you expect to gain out of this? Anything financial? I'm like, I don't want financial back. I don't want financial kickback. My asking price is CDs, maybe a T-shirt here and there. That's about all. I'm not a selfish son of a bitch that doesn't. I don't need money. It's not that I'm well off or anything like that, but I'm not driven by greed. That's me and the way I was raised by my old man that told me you can get a lot further making good relationships, especially if you're going to live out your musical stuff. You develop good business relationships, and don't forget that it's friendship first. Don't always make it about business. And that's one thing that I've taken with my approach to how I reach out to bands. I want to be friends with them before I actually do business with them, to let them know up front what my intentions are to do what I want to do with their bands.
The thing about it is that none of us have money. I don't have money. None of my guys have money. You don't have money. I mean, not big money to speak of. And so there's only one reason why any of us do this: for love of music.
Right.
And the thing about it is that there's so many people out there that pay tons of money for music that they like. And at some point in time, they're going to realize they're giving their money to the wrong people. They should be giving their money to the people that do it for the same reason that they do it, for the love of it. and that's it.
Right. And it's sad because you said about the FM stations in your area. Something I read, I may have read it wrong, but I read something that FM radio stations, not only just in the Houston area, but like areas where other bands that I'm supporting, their FM stations want some sort of financial upfront before their music gets played. I'm like, is that that's just twisted? How the hell do you
Mhm.
expect? It's just wrong.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what? They won't even, like I said, they won't even take a picture with someone wearing a local. I mean, it's really crazy because like when we released our first single, my guitar player Koury was, like I said, he was in constant communications and friends with one of the major radio personalities here in Houston. And at the very moment when he sent him that email containing our MP3 of our first song ever, he's like, "Man, I've been telling you about it. Here it is. Tell me what you think." All communication stopped at that point. And then when he saw him out there at a show, he wouldn't even take a picture with him because he was wearing our shirt. So, I mean, to me, that's just glaring. That tells you everything that you need to know. These guys are given a playlist. They have to play certain things. They have to do exactly what they're told, and they can't promote bands like ours. Even if they want, they can't do it.
yeah, because they're bound
Um,
by that restrictive format sheet.
it's what's killing. It's what's killing our world is money and greed. And you know, I'm to the point we're not going to let it kill the music. We're going to make it whether we make money or not. But their money is not going to kill our music.
Well, I'm happy to play y'all's music. Just saying, because wow.
No, I appreciate it, and you know we're proud of it. We think it's good stuff. I want everyone to hear it, you know. And if even if you don't like it, tell me what we can do better. You know, it's an art form, so no form of art is ever perfect. It's a personal expression, and we do with it what we can and what we got. We put it out there, and you know, hope that everybody loves listening to it as much as we love making it.
Okay, my last question for this interview, Jack, is simply this: what's in the future here in the next 3 to 6 months for Torrid Complex?
Well, we have 5 shows left this year. We have a show at the end of the year. It's October 9th, and it's Final Drive, their CD release party. And I don't know if anyone has heard of Final Drive or if you guys play it or whatever, but do yourself a favor, please check these guys out. They're an amazing band. They're from St. Louis. They're just their talent is through the roof. These are some guys that should be making big money. They actually came down and played our CD release party on April 2nd of this year. They made a special trip down just to play our CD release. So we're more than honored to play their CD release on December 9th. So, you know, check those guys out. If you need their contact information or whatever, let me know. I'll get it to you. Those guys are really good.
I'd be more than happy to get their contact information.
Man, I'm telling you what, you won't be disappointed. And they're great guys too. I mean, these guys are on the road all year long. I don't know how they do it, honestly, man, but they are true professionals. And even before myself and my own band, I think I look out there and I say, man, who deserves to make it? Those are the guys. They deserve to make it. They'll have everything coming to them if they do. So we have, like I said, we have 5 shows remaining. That'll be our last show. We're not looking at booking anything else between, you know, now and December 9th, unless just something great comes along. And at that point in time, we're done. We're going to shut it down. We're going back into the studio, and we're going to start. We've already started writing for the third album, but we're going to really seriously get in there and start writing, because now when we go to rehearsal, we're rehearsing the next show, playing around with a little bit of new stuff when we have time to do it. But we're gonna go into the studio, and we're really gonna mash out this next record. It'll be our third album. It's already sounding pretty crazy with some of the stuff the guys have thrown out there. So that's what's next for us. We have 5 shows. Catch us if you can. If not, I can't tell you when the next time we're gonna hit the scene will be, because we're gonna write the next album, and we're probably gonna record it before we head out again.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and that's what we learned with our second album is how hard it is to record an album while you're still trying to play shows and do things like that. So that's why on the third one we decided to shut everything down and record the third one before we do anything else.
Right. Shoot, I'm going to ask this question. I'm not going to wrap up yet. Here's one of the questions I ask a lot of bands and musicians. When you're not doing the music thing and you're just relaxing, what do you do for fun?
Well, honestly, there's not a lot of time left whenever I'm not at work and I'm not at home doing stuff that I need to be doing at home, or if I'm not dealing with band stuff. But ideally, you know, I'm a Southern Texas guy. I like to fish. I like to hunt. You know, that's what I love to go camping with my family. You know, I got a little boat. We like to drag the kids behind the inner tube out on the lake. That's it. You know, we like to barbecue, and you know, that's a good time to me. That's what if I could do anything in the world right now besides work, it would be to make my music and to go fishing, go hunt, take my kids out in the woods. Show them how to bait a hook and things like that. That's a good quality of life, in my opinion.
Well, Jack, I want to say thank you on behalf of myself and Bending Reality Magazine for doing this first interview with me. It was a real treat, and I can't wait to do another one down the road.
Absolutely.
All right, Jack.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate your time, man, and I appreciate the interview.
No problem. Thanks. We'll talk again soon.
Creeping back in the woods where no one goes. Build me a still where the big trees grow. Find me a spot where a cool stream flows. Never get caught 'cause no one knows. Come on! Build me a steel where the big trees grow. Find me a spot where a cool stream flows. Never get caught 'cause no one knows.